What if the world had Gundams? We've all seen anime about giant robots fighting across cities and countries, but what if this wasn't fiction? What if there were real-life mechanical behemoths that could level entire city blocks with a single blow of their fists? How would society function with these kinds of weapons existing? If you're a fan of giant robots or just want to see how humanity might fare in the face of its own creations, then stick around for more what-ifs only on our channel. We can't talk about giant robots without mentioning Gundam first. In fact, let's get right into it. In the world of anime, we're all too familiar with the image of mobile suits engaging in warfare and battling it out in the sky. These fictional war machines are piloted by humans who take control of them from inside the cockpit. But how could this be replicated in the real world? Well, through remote control, of course. We know that many modern military vehicles are already equipped with advanced AI systems, allowing them to perform complex maneuvers with minimal human intervention. So why not take things one step further and allow an operator to remotely pilot a giant robot from within its own machine? The Gundam series has shown us that this is entirely possible, even with a giant robot that towers over buildings and packs enough firepower to destroy entire cities. And let's not forget about the incredible precision and accuracy required to operate such a massive machine. With remote control technology, it would be possible for skilled operators to maneuver their robots with ease, taking down enemy forces with surgical precision. Just imagine the capabilities of a well-trained team of robot operators working in unison. They could take down enemy forces before they even have a chance to react. It may seem like something out of a futuristic fantasy, but the technology needed to make it happen is already here. Let's start with the basics. A remote control system would consist of a few key components, including cameras, sensors, communication systems, and actuators. By equipping a giant robot with these components, it would be possible for an operator to see what the robot sees, hear what the robot hears, and control its movements accordingly. But there are challenges to overcome as well. For example, the communication system needs to be fast and reliable to avoid any lag or interference that could affect the robot's movements. And the actuators need to be powerful enough to move the robot smoothly and accurately. Additionally, the operator needs to be able to see the battlefield clearly, which requires high-quality cameras and sensors that can capture everything in sharp detail. But perhaps the biggest challenge is training the operator to control the giant robot effectively. This would require a combination of physical and mental skills, including hand-eye coordination, reaction time, and the ability to think strategically. Overall, while there are challenges to be sure, the benefits of using a remote control system to operate a giant robot are just too great to ignore. Not only would it make it possible for smaller crews to operate these machines, but it would also open up new possibilities for their use in battle. Who knows? Maybe one day soon we'll see real-life giant robots roaming the Earth. Thanks to advances in technology, we're closer to seeing giant robots become a reality than ever before. Companies are developing new materials that are stronger and lighter, which would make it possible to build taller and more powerful robots. And new developments in artificial intelligence could help robots move and operate more like humans. While there are still many challenges to overcome, the future of robotics is looking bright, and who knows what we'll see in the years to come. Gundams aren't exactly known for their affordability. In fact, they're usually portrayed as incredibly expensive pieces of technology. According to various sources, the cost of a single Gundam could range anywhere from $20 million to over $100 billion. Now, I know what you're thinking. Surely we don't have that kind of money lying around to just build a giant robot. But let's think outside the box for a second. What if instead of one giant robot, we had a whole army of them? Now, I know it sounds crazy, but stick with me here. Let's say each Gundam costs around $20 million. That's still a lot of money. But what if we mass-produce them? We could potentially build a whole fleet of these robots for around $200 million. To put that into perspective, the U.S. spends over $700 billion on its military every year. So $200 million really isn't that much. Plus, once we have these giant robots, they could help us save money in the long run. Think about it. Instead of having to send out troops to fight wars, we could just deploy a few Gundam units and let them do the fighting for us. It's a win-win situation. And don't worry, I'm not suggesting that we replace all of our troops with robots. They could work together as a team, with the robots taking care of the heavy lifting, so to speak, while the troops provide support and take care of any other tasks that are beyond the robots' capabilities. Plus, these giant robots could also be used for other purposes, like helping out in disaster areas or providing security at major events. Overall, it might be worth the investment. But let's say we don't have quite that much money to spend on giant robots. Is there a cheaper alternative? Of course, there are plenty of cheaper options available that could still pack a serious punch. Let's look at some examples. First, we could create a giant robot that looks like a normal everyday object. Imagine a trash can that comes to life and starts crushing cars, or a water tower that can spray a giant fireball. It might seem silly, but these kinds of robots could actually be very effective. They wouldn't attract attention to themselves until it's too late. Plus, they could be built for a fraction of the cost of a full-sized Gundam. Another option is to create a giant robot that specializes in stealth. This robot could be designed to blend in with its surroundings, making it almost impossible to detect until it's right in front of you. It could be covered with solar panels or other green energy solutions to make it look like a harmless piece of public art, or it could be made to look like a building or a mountain to blend in perfectly with the environment. These kinds of giant robots could be used for reconnaissance missions or to silently eliminate high-value targets. We could even create a giant robot that looks like a cute cartoon character. Imagine a giant robot that looks like a teddy bear or a puppy that suddenly comes to life and attacks its enemies. It might sound unethical, but this kind of giant robot could be very effective in certain situations. Its cuteness factor could disarm its enemies, making them an easy target for the robot's attack. Plus, it could be used as a propaganda tool to show the world that our side is merciful and compassionate. Of course, any of these options would require advanced technology and a lot of hard work, but the possibilities are really endless. There are so many different ways to create a giant robot that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. All we need is a little creativity and a lot of determination. And now for the ultimate question: would anyone even dare to use them? Giant robots are awesome. They're powerful, they're impressive, and they're just plain cool. But that doesn't mean that everyone would be comfortable using them. After all, these are machines that can level entire cities with a single blow. So who would be brave enough to get behind the controls and use them in battle? Well, it depends. Some people love the idea of giant robots and would jump at the chance to use them. They might see it as an opportunity to be part of something bigger than themselves, to be a hero and save the day. Others might be too afraid to take the controls of a giant robot. They might be worried about the power and destruction it's capable of and feel that it's just too much responsibility. So the question of who would use these giant robots comes down to the individual. Some people would be eager to get behind the controls, while others would be too afraid. But there's one thing we can all agree on. It would definitely be a unique and unforgettable experience. So, what do you think? Would you use a giant robot? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.